Hello, welcome to the channel, and it's a time to chat about the next warband in this week's pre-order, the Daughters of Khaine. Before we get to that, I have promised that there'll be a giveaway in this video, and it's a nice, simple competition where you can get your hands on one of the new warbands. I'm going to be giving away at least one. If I get up to 100 subs by Saturday, which is the pre-order day, I will give away two. A shameless subscriber grab. I do apologise, but nice way for you to get a warband for free. To be able to be put in the draw for the warband, all you need to do is just comment at the bottom which one of the warbands you'd like to win, and if it's both, I'll put all the people in who wanted the orcs in one pool and all the people who wanted the Daughters of Khaine in the other, and draw them out of there. If it is just the one, you'll all go in together. Yeah, nice and simple. If you'd like to enter, pop something in the comments. So let's get to the business end of this. So here we go. I'm really intrigued about this warband. There's been a lot of discussion about them as well. So let's go through the fighter cards. This is Camis. This is the one with the whip. First off, inspire mechanic. Everyone inspires when it's the third round. Seems a bit lazy, but I guess that's fine. It just seems a bit of a lazy mechanic. It's going to be tough to... I mean, you're probably not going to inspire your whole warband. This person just has 2 wounds. They are quick. They are dodges, which we all thought they would as well. But this particular character has 2 weapons. The barbed whip, which can also be used as a combo, and the bladed buckler as well. A fighter cannot be driven back. With 2 wounds though, I don't think there's going to be much chance to being driven back. And they have the bladed buckler weapon, which is a reaction. After this fighter's attack action with combo, make this attack action. So if you're close in and you get the whip, you can jump back in with a second attack as well. So a little bit like the Rippers there. But when they do inspire in the third round, the whip stays the same. The barbed buckler switches to swords and is then 2 damage. They get quicker and they get 2 dodges, so they do get a little bit tougher come the third round. Kyrie, the hunter. This is the one with the Medusa type person with the big kind of snake body. Again, third round. This is quite a tough cookie. 5 pace, 2 dodges, 3 wounds. The bow has a reach of 4. 3 dice, 1 damage. With ensnare, which ensnare is really good at the moment. Lots of warbands rocking around with dodges. Sacrificial knife for kind of getting up close and personal. But when she inspires, she also gets a cleave. Just a kind of straightforward, quite aggressive, long range attack character. Not much to say there. Krushas, sacrificial knives on a critical hit. This attack action has +1 damage. And then when they inspire, nothing changes. Just an extra defense dice and +1. Lether. Let's have a look at this one. Again, not much. Doesn't have any sacrificial knives. It's their attack when they're not inspired, but then when they inspire, if the attack roll includes 2 or more successes and this attack action succeeds, resolve the deal damage step twice. So it's not double, it's deal twice. So I'd imagine if there's any kind of cards or anything that you can put in between, maybe. So any ploys and things that you can play, that may sort of become a bit more apparent as we sort of crack on through the ploys and upgrades and things. And then the boss, Morgwaeth the Bloodied, cleave off the bat, that's nice, with a range of 2 damage. Blood Sacrament, whenever an enemy fighter is taken out of action, choose and inspire 1 friendly fighter. Do this after any reactions to the action or gambit that took the enemy fighter out of action, and after any reactions to the enemy fighter being taken out of action. Okay, so that kind of, I mentioned in the previous video that we had that like sacrificial cup type thing, and that fits that quite nicely. So for how squishy they are, that's a strange mechanic, really, because you are going to want to be quite aggro. Do you send this person in first? She's quite tough with 2 dice. Yeah, it's strange. When she inspires, she gets a bit quicker, and she does 3 damage with cleave. They are. It's a really interesting warband. There's a lot going on. I like quite simple run and smash. That's what I like the orcs. These kind of maybe Reavers 2.0. Because they are quite squishy. I think there's going to be lots of shenanigans in the ploys. I'm undecided on them at the moment, if I'm being honest. So now we move on to the objectives. The first one, Blessings of Khaine. Score this in an end phase if 2 or more surviving friendly fighters are inspired. So, I mean, that's going to be really tough for them to score. You know, if it's in the 3rd round, you'll score it unless you've been completely annihilated. Seems a tough one. Seems a tough one to score, that. Bloodright, we've got a Surge. Score this immediately when a friendly fighter holding an objective makes an attack action that takes an enemy fighter out of action. Okay, so that's quite aggressive. Well, it's a flex surge, isn't it? So you want to be holding an objective to start off with. You're probably looking at the one with the bow, or sort of scoring that, maybe. Consecrate to Khaine. Another surge, score this immediately when a friendly fighter's range 1 or range 2 attack action takes an enemy fighter holding an objective out of action. Okay, with kind of objective play is going to be in such a weird place, particularly for the first few weeks, where people are going to be toying with the whole kind of flipping objective mechanic. Again, it's pushing the Daughters of Khaine into quite a kind of flexi aggro type play style. Daughters of the First Temple. Score this in an end phase if 2 or more enemy fighters are out of action, and then if 4 or 6 if you're playing multiplayer. Yep, 1 glory. That's fairly standard kind of aggro card. Devoted Disciple. Score this in an end phase if 1 or more surviving friendly fighters have 1 or more win tokens. That might be quite a tough one to score, considering how squishy the majority of your warband is. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that one. Perfect Kill. Score this immediately when a friendly fighter's attack action deals exactly enough damage to take that fighter's target out of action. So precise use of force, where a lot of us are familiar with that. I think that's quite a good one because there's a lot of different values of damage being dealt out there. I can see a lot of people taking this. I can see like a lot of the amber-bone weapons being used with this particular warband as well. Yeah, I think that's quite a nice card, nice surge card for them. Proof of Devotion. So it's a hybrid card. Score this in the third end phase if all enemy fighters are out of action or your warband holds all objectives in enemy territory. So they're really like it's a very flexi aggro style that they're pushing here. That is going to be really hard to score. Well, again with flip mechanics being pushed, is it? Interesting. I think 3 glory is a fair amount as well for that, because that will be quite hard to score. Purposeful Strike. Score this in an end phase if a friendly fighter with 1 or more charge tokens is holding an objective. Yeah, okay. That could be quite easy to score that one. I think a few people will take that. I can see that being taken. Absolute Stillness. It's a dual card. Score this in an end phase if a friendly quarry is holding an objective and that fighter has no move or charge tokens. So this is a universal card. Friendly quarry is holding an objective and that fighter has no move or charge tokens. It'll be hard, but there's a lot of cards in these 2 packs that make people quarries as well. So I don't know. I think people will play around with this card. This will be a card that I think people will play test a lot just to see if it is doable. Ahead of the Hunt. Score this in an end phase if there is at least 1 surviving friendly quarry. Oh, there's a few warbands that are gonna take that. You know, I think you're going to get a few warbands take that. That does seem... That would be very easy to score for some warbands, while nigh on impossible and very hard to score for others. Like Season 1 warbands, you're going to need to take upgrades to make your guys a quarry. But I can see that definitely has a place with some warbands. Hidden Purpose. Score this immediately after an activation if your warband holds 2 or more objectives. That's very good. As Max has kindly pointed out there, Diet Temporary Victory. That is going in absolutely everyone's deck. Particularly because there are some other cards that work quite nicely with that. I mean, you know, I'm looking at that as going in my Orc deck, and I'm not necessarily going to be grabbing objectives with Orcs. Well, not 2 anyway, but I can see that going in every deck, and like it's not an overpowered card. It's just a card that could be quite easy to score, and that then puts it in the sights of going in a restricted list. Master of Hazards. Score this immediately after you flip a second or subsequent feature token in this phase. You know that it's feature flipping is going to start being a bit more prominent. I think played against the Stormsire list at the weekend that did it very efficiently. So this is definitely going in that deck. People that are playing with that kind of idea of wanting to score that feed the Beastgrave card, that's going to match really nicely with that. No One is Safe. Score this immediately after a second or subsequent enemy fighter is taken out of action by damage dealt by a gambit in this phase. So if you use lots of ping damage or spells and things like that, that's going in. I can't see me putting that in my Orc deck, but if I was, you know, it's sitting right there, if I was to be playing Nurgle or Stormsires, I think that's a nice kind of... It's not an easy surge. There's still a lot that needs to happen, but it's a nice surge for those type of warbands to have. Set the Tempo. Score this in an end phase if you have scored 2 or more dual objective cards and 2 or more hybrid objective cards, and you have scored 6 or more objective cards. That seems like a lot of hard work for 3. I mean, it's just a really complicated superior tactician, isn't it? I mean, you can definitely try and build a deck around Set the Tempo. And it is just end phase, not third end phase. So that's interesting. That's a card that I might kind of look at to try and what this is to try and kind of build a deck around that. There aren't many cards like that anymore. This is one of them. I think they've introduced a few of those in these two warbands where this is a really good objective card. Build your deck around it. This could be one of them. It seems like a lot of hard work, but it's something that definitely needs investigating, I think. Test of Courage. Score this in an end phase if 2 or more friendly fighters are standing in lethal hexes. I brought this up in the Agents of Sigmar thing that do spookies still class lethal hexes as lethal hexes. Sort of chatting in the Discord or the Vassal chat, it seems to kind of be, yes, they do. They just treat them as normal. I'm happy with that wording. I can see it. It's a must-have for, like Alex has put there and Scott has put there, that's a must-have for the Briar Queen. But it is in an end phase. It's not at the end. If it was at the end of an activation, this would be dumb. But it is an end phase. So you could be doing a lot of work. And causing damage. If you're not ghosts, causing damage to your dudes for no reason. I think this might not be as good as it's very good for spooks. Probably not that good for anyone else. I was kind of excited about it for one point. At one point, I thought I saw a picture of the orcs on there as well, and I was like, "Oh no, yeah, I got 5 wins. Just push them in." But is it worth it? I think there are better 2-point cards out there. And we've gone back to a Daughters of Khaine card here. Ritualized formation. Score this in an end phase if your warband holds 3 or more objectives. So supremacy. I can't see if. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Swift Sacrifice. Surge. Score this immediately when a friendly leader or Kyrie makes a range 1 or range 2 attack action that takes an enemy fighter out of action. I mean, they're the ones. Your leader's the one that's going to be doing a lot of the killing early doors or attempting to. So, yeah, it's got the backup of Kyrie as well. I think that's probably a must-have if you're following the play style they're suggesting with these guys. These gals, sorry. Torturous Death, another Daughters of Khaine card. Score this immediately when your warband makes a 3rd or subsequent attack action that targets the same enemy fighter in this phase. These cards are really weird. I know. And why isn't a Daughter of Khaine on the artwork if it's a Daughter of Khaine card? They've got lots of ways of being able to score this, so I can imagine people will take it. I'm just kind of thinking about it. People in here saying, yeah, you've got combos and yeah, I think it's. I think they'll end up taking it. Triumphant Stance, we've got a dual card here. Score this in an end phase if one friendly fighter is holding an objective and no other fighter is holding an objective. So that's a bit like uncontested, not worth as many points. I think that's going to be just as hard to score as uncontested. I do. I think that's going to be just as hard to score as uncontested. I mean, it's a good card, but I played uncontested at the weekend, and I thought it was such a hard card to score. It kind of put me off using it again, and so I probably still have that in the back of my head. But I think that's going to be just as hard to score. It's not as obvious as uncontested, but it's going to be a tough one. Okay, so we're back to a universal. The hunter hunted. Score this immediately after a friendly quarry's attack action takes an enemy hunter out of action. You're not going to take this in a tournament. No way. Because you might not play one hunter all day. If you're just beer and nuts against your mates and you know who you're playing against, you can kind of flavour to taste, but that ain't going. That's not a tournament card at all. The hunter quarry mechanic, I think you're going to start seeing more of, but that's for another video. But it's a strong card, but currently I can't see that getting much use in tournament play. Abundance of Caution. Score this immediately after an activation or power step if all surviving friendly fighters have one or more guard tokens. I mean, there are plenty of ways of being able to dish out guard tokens. Some warbands have more than one way to do that. Stormsires, Steelhearts are the first one that kind of jump out to me, just because I play them a lot online, and so there's a few. I think there's only a few warbands that will take this. The Altari as well, I think, will probably do quite nice with that. Yeah, there's a few ways of doing it. We'll move on to the Ploys now. So starting off, we've got a poison. I did think that there were going to be a lot of poisons in this particular pack. They kind of fit the whole Daughters of Khaine vibe. So let's look at this one, Bloodbane Venom. Reaction, play this after a friendly fighter's successful range 1 or 2 attack action. Roll 3 attack dice. For each roll of a crit, that the target of the attack action is dealt 1 damage. That's I quite like that. I quite like that. I mean, it's not classed as an extra attack action, but it's just a way of potentially being able to finish someone off. You're rolling 3 dice. So the odds are there for you to potentially do it. It's not a guarantee. It's not overpowered. I like that as a poison card. That's quite nice. Carve a Rune. Another reaction. Play this during a friendly fighter's range 1 or range 2 attack. That succeeds before dealing the damage if there was 1 or more. Okay. So you don't need to declare this before. That's nice. That's quite a nice card. I can see everyone taking that. That's probably a must-have, really, isn't it? So, yeah. You roll a crit, you get the card ready, and chuck it in. So you don't, and it's you need to see if it's succeeded. So you can't waste this card, which is good. So I think everyone is going to be taking this if you're playing Daughters. Catechism of Murder. Have I said that word right? Choose one friendly fighter. That fighter is inspired. Restricted Morgwaeth. So, I don't quite understand that restriction either. Let's just have a look. Okay, so, Morgwaeth needs to be on the board to be able to play this ploy. I think, is what that means. But yeah, that's quite good. They need it, because it's a really tough way of being able to inspire. They do need it. Crimson Rejuvenation, heal 1 each friendly fighter within 2 hexes of your leader. Most of your guys are going to get one-shotted. That's the problem. I don't see that getting much play, really. Drilled to perfection. Choose 1 friendly fighter and up to 1 adjacent friendly fighter. Give each chosen fighter 1 guard token. There we go. So that's one way of scoring that objective from earlier. I can see that getting quite a lot of air time. Not being driven back with the guard tokens quite a big deal. Fanatical Faith. The first time a friendly fighter would be dealt any amount of damage in the next activation, that fighter is dealt 1 damage instead. Yeah, that's fairly standard. Headlong Fury. Choose 1 inspired friendly fighter. The chosen fighter makes a move action. Do not give the chosen fighter a move token for that action. That's a great card. Just for either getting someone out of dodge or, you know, chucking them to the other end of the board. That's really good. That's going in everyone's deck, isn't it? That's just a really good, strong card. Incredible Agility. In the next activation, friendly fighters other than the Kare treat lethal hexes as normal hexes and can move through occupied hexes but cannot end their move in an occupied hex. That's good as well. I think that could... I think that would work very well with that if you play both of them at once. Yeah, I think that those two would work quite well together. I can see that being kind of put in. That's quite a nice card. Perfect Precision. You can reroll 1 attack dice in the attack roll of the first activation made by a friendly fighter in that next activation. Rerolls are always good. You don't get many of them in the game. Kind of one-off awakened weapon type scenario there. Zealot's Rage. Play this after a friendly fighter's attack action that fails. That fighter makes an attack action. So, yeah, again, I'd imagine that as a backup is going to get put in as Elrond suggests. It doesn't say attack the same person or use the same attack. Upgrades. So, Crimson Shard. This one is for the boss. You can reroll 1 attack dice in this fighter's attack roll. Yeah, so awakened weapon. I'd imagine you'll want that in there. She's going to be probably doing a lot of the killing early on. Chrome Blade. After this attack action, if it succeeds, heal 1 to this fighter. Yeah, that's quite good. I think, as the picture suggests, you're going to be putting it on the big old snake gal. Just laughing at the thug's little quote there. 3 swords, 2 damage. I mean, it does 2 damage as well as heals you, and that's quite a nice weapon. If you're kind of that way inclined to use weapons for your upgrades, I think you're going to be taking that. Death Dancer. After this fighter's attack action, not during a super action, so not during charges, push this fighter 1 hex. That's quite nice. I think if you're a Skaven player, or like if you're a Rippers player, you're familiar with that type of upgrade. High Oracle's Butcher. After this fighter's attack action that takes an adjacent enemy fighter out of action, gain 1 additional glory point. So yeah, again, that's something that we're kind of used to. I feel they do need it. I think they need that kind of help there with those type of glory points. Invigorated Attack. +1 dice to this fighter's attack actions while this fighter is holding an objective. Nice. Yeah, pretty standard upgrade there. Rapturous Defense. +1 defense for Carissa and Letha. I don't know if I'd waste an upgrade on those two. would put them up to 3 dice, I guess. And there are other ways of potentially getting them up to 4. I don't know. That's a maybe. That's one that I'd probably have to play test. Rune of Khaine, reaction: when this fighter is taken out of action by an enemy fighter's attack action or an enemy warband's gambit, before removing this fighter from the battlefield, each adjacent enemy fighter is dealt 1 damage. So if she is in amongst it, which I think you're going to be doing, I think she is just going to be charging it at the start. So this is a nice kind of backup. I think maybe people will take this. Rune of Slaughter, +1 damage to the fighter's range 1 and range 2 attack actions for each crit in the attack roll. That's, again, a fairly standard one. I think people will take that if you're doing the aggro. Victor of 1,000 Jewels. So, reaction: during a range 1 attack action that targets his fighter and fails, before the drive back step, roll 1 attack dice. On a roll of a hit or crit, of a hammer or crit, this fighter cannot be driven back and can make an attack action. It must target the attacker. I think we're all quite familiar with that. It messes, but this type of thing messes with people's kind of target priority, and I like these type of cards. I can see this one being taken and kind of being put on the box. Whirling Whip, scything attack. Yeah, that's quite a nice one for Commiss. And 3 as well, that is quite good. So I can see people taking that upgrade. And we are now on to universals. So this universal Ploy, poison, euphoric dust. Choose 1 enemy fighter adjacent to one or more friendly fighters. -1 defense from that enemy fighter until the next power step, to a minimum of 1. I mean, if you're playing a poison deck, you'll probably take it because it's easy. It's just a card flipper. How many warbands that are doing well at the moment have two or more defense dice? That could be, you could take that in a tournament and not see any advantage of playing it at all. It's a strange one. Glorious Triumph. Play this after a friendly fighter's attack action that takes an adjacent enemy fighter out of action. The warband is considered to hold 1 more objective than it holds. This effect persists until that friendly fighter is taken out of action or until the start of the next round. So that's quite a nice card, isn't it? That's going to interact with so many objectives. I'm taking it for my orcs. I know everyone's going to be taking it. If you're going to be doing any type of killing, I think you're going to be taking that. It can stop things like uncontested being scored. It can mess up Nexus of Terror. It can help you score cards as well. It's a really good card. Don't tell everyone. Honest Scrap. Players cannot re-roll dice until the end of the next activation. There's only a handful of people that can do that at the moment, I think. So again, if you took that to a tournament, you might be a card that you just never play. Hunter's Pack. In the first attack action made by a friendly fighter in the next activation, each friendly supporting fighter is considered to be 2 supporting fighters. That's quite good if you are hunting in a pack, for example. Ripper's players do tend to do that quite well because you'll send Ripper in and then you'll have the range attacks. Nurgle can use this quite well. I think warbands that will get the most use out of this will be warbands that have range attacks as well as strong range 1 attacks. So I think you will see this card quite a bit. It's a bit of magic. Hunting Bolt, a gambit spell, swirly. If cast, choose one enemy fighter within 3 hexes of the caster. That fighter is dealt 1 damage, or 2 if it is a quarry. That's quite. That's an easy to cast spell. 1 swirly, I guess, with the right wizard. Damage causing spells, more of them. Oof, that's quite. I think a few people are going to take that. That's quite a good spell. Malkin Grace. Choose 1 friendly fighter to have the following: +2 move, -1 wounds. This effect persists until the end of the round, or that fighter is taken out of action. Now, I made a mistake in my last video by saying Spectral Wings has been rotated out. It was pointed out to me yesterday. It's not, because it was in the gift pack. Why? If you've got Spectral Wings, why would you take this? I mean, it's a choose, so it would be good for Skaven, but I don't really see. No, Ryan's put here about sudden growth. That does work. Kind of cancels it out for a turn. So maybe there's that. I feel like, am I missing something here? Just take Spectral Wings, right? Quick search. Why? Why have they put this in? Play this only if your warband holds 1 or more objectives. Draw up to 2 power cards. Yes, Max, I massively agree. This is bad. This is a bad, stupid card. There's already too much drawing mechanics. They're going to start restricting them, surely. Surely they're going to start restricting them. Unnatural choose, quick search, frenzied search. You have 3 of those cards in your opening hands. You've guaranteed to score to the end. Guaranteed. Like, it's daft. Am I going to put it in a deck? Yes, I am, because it is stupid and it is an easy to score card. But it's this is dumb. I'm sorry, but they shouldn't have put this in. Spiteful Dart reaction. Play this after an enemy fighter's attack action that drives a friendly fighter back. If the friendly fighter is not taken out of action, the enemy fighter is dealt 1 damage. Nice little reaction there. I think I might put that in my Orc deck, if I'm being honest. Yeah, extra damage is always nice, you know. Victimize. +1 dice to the first range 1 or 2 attack action made by a friendly fighter in the next activation. If that attack action targets a quarry, you can reroll any number of attack dice in the attack roll for that attack action. At the minute, I mean, you would probably take that. +1 dice is good, and you have that kind of backup in case it is a quarry as well. There's just a lot of warbands that don't have the quarry thing in there, and with cards like this out there, it does put you off making people quarries. So I think they're too good. The hunter and quarry keywords are 2 good keywords, but I think it just doesn't mesh well at the moment. There's too much. It's too much of a gamble at times, really, making someone a quarry, I think. Amberbow Mace, or the banana tree, as someone pointed out yesterday. 2 and 2, that's good, but you can re-roll it. Ooh. So re-rolls and a glory point, that's pretty good, isn't it? Yes. That's one from a Godsworn if I ever pick them up again. Lovely, I like that. Bloody Axe. If this fighter has 2 or more wound tokens, double the damage characteristic of this attack action. I mean, that's quite good. I feel like that's a good card. Will it be a good card for my orcs because of the amount of wounds they have? Oh, I don't know, because they've already got enough ways of being able to deal that type of damage. I think it's a Hail Mary card, possibly. So if it looks like a boss is going to die and you've only got 1 attack left, that might be worth it. I think it's quite a situational card. I can see people play testing it, at least. Greedy Gauntlet. Oh, this is such a disappointing card. Not because... But this is what they use. This is what they're using the sacrifice counters for. So, a reaction, and it's an upgrade, bear in mind. After this fighter's activation, deal 1 damage to this fighter and place a sacrifice counter on this card. Plus 1 damage to this fighter's range 1 or range 2 attack action for each sacrifice counter on this card. There's not many people you're going to put it on, is there? Really? Maybe a Skaven. Do you take the tokens off? Do you take sacrifice tokens off if you're a Skaven? Let me know in the comments. You're on a Skaven, that could be filth. Get him on the hungering. But in my previous video I thought the sacrifice tokens were going to be for some type of inspiring mechanic, but they're just going to be used on this. It seems like a bit of a baffling decision. It's a niche card. I can see people playing around with it, but not a fan myself. Hunter's Talisman. Plus 1 dice in this fight's attack action. If the target is a quarry, you can reroll 1 attack dice in the attack roll. Oh. That's getting restricted, isn't it? Let's be honest. Rippers and the Ogre are going to love that. And whatever is coming in the future. But I can see that getting restricted. It's really good. A Lost Page, Kayla's Choking Coil. On a critical hit action has plus 1 damage. Yeah, it's all right. if you've got your Lost Pages stacked, you've got an extra zapper there. That's not a bad card. Predator's Trinket. This fighter is a quarry. If this fighter is a quarry, this fighter's range 1 or range 2 attack actions have cleave. I know what I said earlier. This is probably one of the cards that kind of make that risk worth it. Cleave's going to be much more relevant now with the orcs, so I think people will take that if you have quarries in your... No, you don't need to be a quarry, so I do apologise. I think people are going to be taking this as a way just to add cleave and to deal with those big old brutes. Shadeglass Band. This is a really interesting one. If there are 1 or more crits in this fighter's attack roll, place a potency counter on this card. While there are 1 or more potency counters on this card, you can re-roll 1 dice in this fighter's attack and defense rolls. So it's not per, and it doesn't look like the potency counters come off at all. So that's interesting. I can see people taking that. I don't think aggro warbands are going to take that. There's not many ways to get rerolls, and I can see people playing around with that one. Stealthy Blade. Players cannot use reactions during this attack action. Now, orcs in particular have some very good reactions. Will people take this though? seems a bit of a niche type card. I think this one, people will wait and see how relevant reactions become. They're going to be really relevant for the orcs because of those war tokens. So yeah, it might be. But this might be one of the. If you're in a tournament, this might be one of those things where you've got a spare slot and you're like, oh, I'll take that just in case. I'll take that just in case I play orcs, or just in case I play thorns that have some really good reactions. Yeah, it's a maybe for a tournament. If you know who you're playing against and you're playing casually with your mates, then you would probably take it if you know the kind of scenario you're going into. Vortex Stone. Reaction. After this fighter's activation, choose an enemy fighter within 3 hexes and push the chosen fighter up to 2. This push must bring the chosen fighter closer to this fighter each time the chosen fighter leaves a hex, then discard this card. I mean, that's quite interesting. It's more ways to push, kind of out of that Ploy window, and it is a upgrade. It's an interesting one. I mean, it's after that fighter's activation. So I think you're really only going to be using it for pulling people off of objectives, or bringing them into lethal hexes, or you're going to be using. I don't think you're going to be using it in an offensive way. It's going to be very much a very defensive push card, I think. And that's it. That's the last of them. I'll be honest, I do prefer the orc. I am very biased. I do prefer the orc set. I'm just undecided on these guys as a warband. They're very busy. There's just lots going on. A very simple inspire mechanic that'd be quite hard to get, but lots going on in terms of play style, and they're very kind of flexy aggro. But out of the two, I am preferring the orcs, but I think people are going to have a lot of fun with this. These are going to be a very experimental warband. The models are pretty cool as well. But let me know what you think. Obviously, there's the competition. So let us know if you want to enter the competition by putting down which warband you'd like to win. And let us know your thoughts on this warband and the orc one. What are your favourite cards? What cards do you think are going to get kind of restricted or banned? Keep an eye out for the next video, which will be me chatting about my first orc deck that I put together, and that is where I'll do the draw as well to see who wins the warband. That will go out on Saturday, so that you know that if you do win, you know that you don't have to pre-order it yourself. But thanks for watching. I know these last two have been quite long. In the future, I may break them down into bite-sized chunks. But thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of your day.